has a unique exhibit in the Lewis Gallery entitled Painters, Players, and Poets, in which composers and poets created new works to interpret a painting that inspired them. Brian Knobloch talked with curator Con Fulham about the one-of-a-kind show.
Con, this is a very unusual collaboration. Describe what's going on here.
What happened is about 2 years ago, I reached out to a number of poets and composer friends of mine, and I suggested that they go out into the community and identify a painting of a living Maine painter to which they had an affinity, and to then interpret it via composition or verse.
And these were paintings that already existed?
In most cases, yes.
And what did they come back with?
They came back with a beautifully written poem or a magnificently composed composition.
And people who are attending the exhibit can listen to those things on CD, is that right?
Exactly. In front of each painting there is a booklet that tells you exactly which track is corresponding to the painting. And
was there any sort of matchup between writers and the artist, or it was whatever they felt like coming up with?
It was really whatever what moved them. Yeah.
And what kind of experience was it for the writers and the composers?
Well, I think it was a very moving experience. I think there were some very interesting collaborations that came out of it. Kate Cheney Chappell and Cindy Bullins come to mind. Cindy had lost a daughter to cancer some time ago, and Kate Cheney Chappell had painted a painting called Little Red Bird, and it just so happened coincidentally that that little red bird had great significance to Cindy. And as it turns out, it was a very moving experience for both of them.
I'm holding my own, I'm doing all right. I'm finding my way through this curious life.
And you're one of the artists here as well.
I'm one of the composers.
One of the composers. How is it for you to have your work interpreted by another artist?
Oh, it's terrific. It's a wonderful thing.
And what was done with your work?
Well, my collaboration was with DeWitt Hardy, and DeWitt and I have known each other literally for about 40 years. And about 40 years ago, I began a song about one of his paintings, and then sort of laid it aside and forgot all about it until 2 years ago when little 3 o'clock in the morning idea came, and I finished the song, I gave it to DeWitt, and he painted a painting for it.
If you and a quaint name, and she was pretty as a peach.
And the works of art here are not just the paintings, but it's also the chairs and the furniture as well.
Yeah. I realized once I had finished the collaborations that it would take about an hour and 10 minutes to go through the entire show. And the last thing I want anybody to do is start thinking about their aching arches and lumbering lumbagos. And so I reached out to a number of very fine Maine chair makers to donate a chair to go with the show.
So that's a very different experience for a gallery, a person going to a gallery, because they're not standing looking at something, but they can actually sit and listen to something and be comfortable as well.
Yeah, a frightening statistic, if you're a painter, is that somebody who goes to a gallery or museum largely spends about 30 seconds at most in front of a painting, which really doesn't give you much time to truly take in the piece. And so now, if you have the leisure to sit in a chair and you're actually listening to the interpretations, it sort of forces you in a very pleasant way to experience it.
Now, usually when somebody's in a gallery and looking at a work of art, a sculpture or painting, they're sort of interpreting it for themselves. Here, they're listening to someone else's interpretation of it. Is that sort of one step too far removed, or what?
Well, we actually just finished doing a live presentation of this entire show last week here at the library, where I actually had all the 48 artists under the same roof. And all the people, with very few exceptions, if any, felt that the listening to the interpretation gave them an entirely different perspective on what they had considered for the painting. So obviously, in many cases, you're going to see the painting first before you put those headphones on. And in doing so, you're going to make some sort of judgment, decision on whether you do or you don't. and then putting those phones on and listening to somebody else's interview is going to give you an entirely different opportunity. So it creates a little multi-dimensional opportunity.
Something you do again?
Yeah, I hope that this is a perennial game, that we do Painters, Players, and Poets 2 next, for sure. And I also hope that we expand this so that there could be a cultural exchange between the Painters, Players, and Poets of Maine and the Painters, Players, and Poets of Prague or Galway or anywhere. I also hope, very much hope, that we can take this program into the high schools, because I think that now more so than ever, kids really need to be able to think out of the box. They need to be able to think creatively, inventively, entrepreneurially, because that's the next world. And the beauty about this is that there's an art department, there's an English department, music department, shop department in every high school, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's just a matter of getting together and making it work.